Your boy's here talking about Classic Plus. That's right. I'm a retail Andy, but that doesn't mean I can ignore the Classic Plus news. And it turns out there was some kind of leak called Project Camelot. Now, I at first when I started seeing videos, I was like, oh, is this real? But now every single person is basically talked about Project Camelot. So you know your boy's got to leech off of that freaking content. So here we go. Classic Plus is real. Project Camelot was just leaked. Let's get to this video here from Doran.
So we just determined a whole bunch of classic stuff, and not some forum post of some of the works of Blizzard. We determined a secret Blizzard project called WoW Camelot just 2 days back with epic and heroic licenses.
All right, Jesus, chat. I mean, you guys are so... Everyone's spamming Project Camelot in the chat. Okay, well, if it makes people do that, then it's going to be great, right? That's what people want out of Classic Plus, so we'll see. Very creative, chat. Very creative.
With Camelot symbols tied to nostalgia, it's almost certainly tied to Classic Plus that everyone has been talking about. Blizzard is continuing even now, just a few days back, to shut down even more private servers that might have features like they plan to implement. So what is going on? Could we technically get WoW 2, but like an alternate timeline? Think of it like the Dark Portal never reopens, we just continue on Azeroth. Maybe we go to Northrend and attack the Lich King first. Maybe we discover Pandaria before the Cataclysm and defeat Deathwing. The opportunities are endless. Let's look at everything we just learned. With so much going on with WoW and big activity times ahead, Overgear can help you a lot with their coaching service. I found it super useful, especially when strapped for time. You get one-on-one sessions.
Use the man's code. This could be a China-only server, you think so? I don't think so. I don't think this is a China. China's gotten their whole, like, catch-up servers and all that. I think they're done with those. I don't think this will be a China-only thing.
You can do a lot yourself.
I think this is Classic Plus.
Save you hundreds of hours of guide reading. With TBC University going full steam now, they can also help you out there as well. Best of all, if you use my code DORANS10, you will get 10% off immediately. So check out Overgear.
I'm not going to use the service.
Okay, so this time we're not actually talking about leaks like some random screenshot or some guy that knows someone at Blizzard. We had a data mine discovery of something pretty significant, but right now it is a bit too early to say what exactly it is for certain. So if you guys keep following the news, there has been so much Classic Plus news the past month or so.
Okay, is this the leak? What is this? Let's see. New trade skills, graphic texture improvements, and resolution upgrade. Okay, so it wouldn't be the same shit graphics, which I think is fine. I think if they do a Classic Plus and they honestly iterate on the classic storyline and continue the adventure there, I don't think you need fucking 2-bit graphics. Like, it's okay if the graphics look a little bit, you know, presentable. New battleground, new race class combos, and new classes. Okay.
Past month or so. I think
not Death Knights. Hold on, it says not Death Knights. That's what I was about to say. Oh, are they going to character classes that are completely new to any version of World of Warcraft, i.e. not Death Knights, monks, or demon hunters?
Month or so. I think it is undeniable that something is
Project
definitely
Camelot,
happening
Jesus.
with. Outside of the interviews of Blizzard hinting that something will be happening, the most important evidence, in my opinion, is that Blizzard had shut down the private server Turtle WoW that has been running for years, which was essentially Classic Plus, just a community version, and last time they shut down Nostalrius is when we got the original Classic, and Nostalrius was prior to that.
Sam, look at that list again and tell us if it makes a difference compared to any other expansion. Well, it is going to be an expansion. Classic Plus is going to have expansions, but they're not going to expand away from the classic version of the game, which is a slow pace leveling game, incremental changes. They're going to get some new abilities here and there and stuff like that. Yeah, I agree that, okay, well, this sounds like another expansion. They're just going to go into modern WoW again. No, that's the whole thing, is they're not going to add all these systems changes and everything else that what basically makes modern WoW today. They're going to keep everything in the classic framework with new iterations on it, new stories, new raids, new things. Yeah, that's what it's going to be. I know, Hatsatu, you're like, yeah, that's called RuneScape. Well, I mean, it is. It's like classic RuneScape. I agree. Blizzard probably saw the success of that and said we could do that with our classic version.
Running for a while as well. Now, on top of all this evidence, Blizzard just a few days back went completely like with legal action against another private server called Extension, which is essentially yet another custom fan-made WoW server with really
Yeah.
interesting changes that is kind of
It's
out of
gone.
bounds for picking regular classes and having all sorts of like unorthodox characteristics, which in my opinion is yet another big hint about Classic Plus actually coming, as once again this server has been running for a while.
What the
Almost
hell
certainly
was that?
Blizzard is
What the
set.
fuck was that Tauren holding? Jesus, a giant rock sword? What the heck? This looks stupid. Why do people play these private servers? I swear. I think it's got to be that it's free. Sometimes it's just got to be that it's free.
The ground for Project Camelot. Why this new server shutdown is relevant is because based on the surveys, like the official surveys that Blizzard had sent about a year back in regards to Classic, a lot of these features were something they could kind of propose.
That was in Season of Discovery? The fucking rock weapon was? I didn't play Season of Discovery. What? That's ridiculous. That was a legit weapon made by Blizzard devs? A fucking giant rock on the top of a sword? What the hell?
For this new version of WoW. The entire ordeal is that Season of Discovery that mixed in classes.
What was this? Is this like some kind of survey or something? He was just showing? Wow, damn, that's a lot of shit. An honor system redesign, war mode, brand new zones, completely new playable areas, unique lore added to the Eastern Kingdoms and Caledor, 20-player raids, 40-player raids, nice. The graphical improvements. What's the graphical improvements? Using modern technology to improve the lighting engine in the game for more realistic lights, shadows, reflection surfaces, and water and glass, okay? New trade skills, graphic and texture improvements, modern technology to fidelity and textures, but used in the classic art assets, okay? New battlegrounds, new race class combos, new classes, new trade skills, yeah, battlegrounds, okay. Interesting. 10-player raids as well. Oh,
Deal
okay.
is that Season of Discovery that
Transmog? Did it say transmog too? The ability to change your appearance of your equipped items. Transmog will only be visible in rested areas, dungeons, or raids. No open world PvP, no battlegrounds. Because you got to know what they're wearing. That's like a classic thing. I don't know if people want transmog in classic, though. I'll be honest. I don't think people would want this.
Is that Season of Discovery that mixed in classes and specs and new stories was essentially kind of like the alpha version, like the testing ground for this big project Camelot that they're planning to release. Season of Discovery was framed as Found Memories, which is essentially like canon. It's not like some alternate universe sand game, it's all real. It's just that we didn't witness this part ourselves. Think of like our characters only being on a set path, yet every zone had events that happened that originally we weren't a part of.
Sure.
Well, Season of Discovery began exploring that, but I think Classic Plus is really going to drive that point home. However, the big thing I want to talk about today is what was actually data mined, and this is bigger than most analytics of hints because this is actually 100% legit. So licenses for WoW were data mined, the heroic and the epic license, and it is called WoW Camelot, which you can imagine is probably like the weirdest, most random name for a WoW expansion, but when you kind of dive into it, it's actually not at all. So no, I don't think Camelot is going to be the name that is going to be on the release. It's probably just an internal name they're going with. And if you don't know what Camelot is, because I didn't know originally, this is actually a reference to the idyllic castle and the court of King Arthur from the folktale. So this is cool and all, but exactly does this have anything to do with World of Warcraft Classic? And the devil is in the details, as Camelot is used actually as symbolism. In a way, it can be used as a way to say something along the lines of like time of nostalgia and great happiness. By extension, it's essentially like the idealized.
I just think of it as, Camelot is like a classic medieval story. That's what Camelot is. You know, King Arthur. God, what's his name? The mage back then. Oh, I can't remember right now. But you get the Sword in the Stone story, Round Table, all that shit. Yeah, it's an ancient Merlin. Yes, that's who I was thinking of. It's like one of the OGs of ancient lore. So there you go. Merlin. Yes, Merlin. That's who I was thinking of. So I guess that's why they used the Camelot name. Camelot is a silly place. Yeah.
magical golden period of time that once was. This symbolism, in my opinion, is almost certainly very relevant to Classic. Some people were thinking, due to the King Arthur storyline, that we could be talking about the Arati King on the Isle, and that this could be a hint for the Last Titan or the expansion after, but personally, I think this is very relevant to Classic for a few reasons. So, as we have just passed mid-June, BlizzCon is happening in about 2.5 months, which will likely include both the Last Titan announcement and the Classic announcement.
Yeah, I guaranteed Classic Plus is getting announced at BlizzCon. I don't think there's any way we go through BlizzCon and even if they're not like fully ready to reveal BlizzCon, they're gonna give a Classic Plus. They're gonna like reveal the logo or something. You know, they're at least going to give us that, but I think they'll actually be ready and they'll reveal some crazy shit about Classic Plus.
As well, and so far, we've had a bunch of hints. I mean, first the hints that I previously mentioned, but there has been foreshadowing for something happening with Classic later this year due to the roadmap, and also the biggest hint everyone has been talking about is the fact that Blizzard organized some sort of like a closed event at their headquarters, and they invited WoW streamers, but only the Classic ones with some big NDA type scenario. I talked about all this about a month back, but in my opinion, this new data mine WoW Camelot definitely seals the deal that something is definitely going on. Now, in regards to what is happening with Classic, well, to not give you my wish list, I think we can kind of look at two things. I mean, probably what these two servers were doing that they just shut down, and also the official survey that they sent to gauge interest in regards to what features people would like to see if Classic Plus became a thing. Outside of like modifying certain zones and certain features, the two big things that were happening was adding new zones to Classic, like zones that actually exist in the game but that weren't originally available, like Mount Hyjal before the Cataclysm or Gilneas before the Wall was broken, because literally this is the perfect scenario for something like this. Think about it, I mean, we only saw Gilneas in Cataclysm and we know the whole storyline, but we know a whole bunch of things happen behind these walls during Classic as well, but to us, we just saw the walls, and that was that. In this scenario, we could explore something like
There's plenty of classic zones that were never even put into the game. Blizzard even had like a Dragon Isles and everything kind of ready to go in Classic, and it just never happened. So there's plenty of like even things that we've seen in modern WoW that could be brought into a Classic Plus.
The other big things is potentially changing the core game features that they kind of already attempted in Season Discovery, but maybe experimenting with like breaking the class system that we have, or really mixing it up with classes, specs, and races. They also potentially talked about adding, for example, TBC or even Cataclysm races to make them like playable in Classic, which could technically be done. I mean,
Goblins.
for example, Goblins were around already as a part of the Horde. I mean, they have been like alongside the Horde since forever. I mean, Gazlo built Orgrimmar, but they only really became playable during Cataclysm. So there are countless possibilities there, and this could be in a way like WoW 2, kind of like restarting World of Warcraft from the foundation and just doing a new thing, because everyone has been talking about how we had gone too far in retail and they have been trying to go back to the adventure type like scale to replicate it from Classic. But I think with retail, the Pandora's box was already opened and you can't really just put it back as it previously was. I think it is exciting though to see what they have planned with this Camelot project, because if you're discovering these licenses now, it means that the announcement might include release very shortly after it. Probably won't be some distant announcement we're only going to see like a year later. They probably already worked on a lot of stuff with Season of Discovery. On the other hand, it is possible that this Camelot could be an alternate timeline, as there really could have their hands free. I mean, it could technically be a WoW 2 with its own like different timeline and universe. Blizzard,
I think that's what it will
already experimented with this in Dragonfight. If you remember, like we had those scenarios like what if Arthas won, or what if the Horde and the Alliance never stopped warring each other. Depending on how it is done, it could actually be an interesting scenario. It could really give them free reign to just make a new Warcraft from scratch.
Blizz development is lazy. If they get a Tinker in Classic Plus, retail would rage. Yeah, it could be that they get some things in Classic Plus that eventually make it to retail. I think if Classic Plus got Tinkers before retail, oh my god, yeah, there would be raging going on for sure.
And just start releasing their own expansions for it. So not really like reopening the Dark Portal 6 times in a row, but doing something completely different. Think about it, the Dark Portal
But wait, if the Dark Portal never opens, are there no orcs in Classic Plus? Right? They came from Outland, so how would you even do that? Or would it be like the Dark Portal opened for a day and then a bunch of orcs came in, then they shut it, so actually that whole thing stopped there. We got a couple orcs, though, if you want to play as those guys. Yeah, how would you do that? Like, I understand the Dark Portal not reopening so you don't get a Burning Crusade, but you have to have it open at least once for the orcs to show up. Otherwise, there's no orcs, there's no Orgrimmar, there's no Duratan. All these names that you know from Classic wouldn't exist. So you have to at least have that event go down. Dark Portal was long ago. You don't mean TBC, right? I think that's what he's talking about. When he says Dark Portal not opening, he means TBC Dark Portal, not like original Dark Portal opening where the horde of orcs came through and all that shit.
Never opens, and instead we start expanding across Azeroth itself, maybe going to Northern before Rat the Lich King, maybe discovering Pandaria before the Cataclysm, maybe the Cataclysm never happens, maybe we defeat the Deathwing before that.
Yeah, for sure the Cataclysm will not happen.
Dream. I know it all sounds crazy, but when you think about it, if done right, and of course a big point on if done right, we could be in for that long reset at WoW 2 that Blizzard has been foreshadowing since forever, but not like building the game anew in Unreal Engine and starting everything with a completely clean slate. No, kind of starting from the same beginning, but just an alternate event, alternate scenarios start happening. Thanks for watching. Check out what the ex-Blizzard CEO said about WoW 2 happening and the Lich King, and also subscribe to my brand new Witcher Lore channel by clicking on the screen as well. See you next time.
Yeah, nice video overall. Good stuff. You don't know that Cataclysm wasn't Dark Portal. Of course it wasn't Dark Portal related. What are you talking about? Yeah, I know that. I'm talking about the orcs that originally came through the Dark... There are no orcs at Azeroth without the Dark Portal opening. That whole thing happened because the Dark Portal was open. That's why there are orcs. No, what are you talking... Yeah, no, they're not from Cata. Of course not. Cataclysm's a completely separate event. I'm talking about the Dark Portal opening that occurs before we even play World of Warcraft. That's where that's the event I'm talking about. He's probably talking about the reopening of the Dark Portal, which occurred Burning Crusade, which probably won't happen in Classic Plus, I agree with. Interesting video overall. We'll see what happens with Classic Plus. It's going to be big for the game. We'll see how they end up playing it out. Nice video from Doran.